Hey, what's up, YouTube? So, last time we created a group policy for desktop shortcuts. Now we're going to create a group policy for implementing security for our users. That's it, just the users. So we're going to say, we're going to call this user naming convention is critical for creating any group policy because you want, like, let's say I am out on time off, or if I'm sick and my boss needs to come in and he's like, oh, what's this policy? I mean, by reading that policy, I'll be like, oh, okay, that is for user security. That's only managing security for all of our users on our network when they log in and use resources on our machines. You wanna, yeah, I mean, so the naming convention will just kind of explain to him or her what that group policy is actually doing on that specific. So let's go to policies, and this is under the, oh no, yeah, so here's the tricky part with user security. All right, it's actually configured on the computer configuration and not the user. So I totally just confused the heck out of you. I apologize. So I want to manage my passwords. So I'll go to account policies and password policy, and password must meet security requirements. It is not defined, so it is not in use right now. We want to enable this policy, and I want to make sure my passwords are meeting a certain length. So I want to go 8. And yes, I want to enforce password history. And we'll say up to 3 passwords are remembered before you can use this. Let's say your first password, and then you change it again several months later, and then again several months later, and then you tried using one of the passwords you previously used. It's going to say no because you previously used that password, which is good. You don't, because those passwords are stored out there someplace. I mean, they could very well be harvested by any malicious attacker that wants to, crash your network. So it's a good idea to have this policy in place. 3 passwords, we could do better. It could be 5. But for this, I want to demonstrate the functionality of this and the role of this policy. So that's why I chose 3 passwords are allowed to be remembered, and then it will forget. So password age. And let's see what it explains to us. So the security setting determines the period of time that a password can be used before the system requires a user to change it. So we're going to say 45 days. Actually, for this exercise, I want to do 10 days because I want to set up an account, and then I want to be prompted 10 days from now to change the password to see if it actually works. Store passwords using reverse encryption. Again, let's go in here and see what it says. Policy provides support for applications that use protocols that require knowledge of the user's head. Let me see, this part is required for a challenge handshake, and that's just a protocol for internet applications, I believe, hosted on the I'm not really too familiar with this one. All right, so if you're using plain text password, if your encryption let's say you're using an application that does not have any built-in security or encryption. So when you actually go to that website and access that, this will encrypt the passwords on the machine, not for the website, but for the machine. So if somebody were to be, well, I use this term all the time. Okay, a packet sniffer, sorry, wow. So let's say I was sniffing the network. Yes, there is such a thing where you sniff the network, and I want to monitor the traffic because I am hoping to find one of our users or a user on that network that is using a password that does not have encryption, and it is only using plain text. So I can actually see the plain text using various utilities and software for cybersecurity and vulnerability analysis. It's almost that easy. That's why encryption is so critical these days. So this is going to take a plain text password and hash that password into I can't remember what the algorithm is for the hashing and encryption. It could be base 64, it could be AES 256. I'm not quite sure, but I'm pretty sure it's AES 256 is the standards. So that's done. Let's go to account policy. So this will lock out a user account if they try logging in. Let's make sure. All right, so let's say we're going to do 5 minutes, and then the user account will unlock. And the reason I'm doing that is because, all right, so we want to define this policy first, obviously. User account threshold, and this is going to say so many invalid login attempts, it's going to lock the account. So let's do 5 invalid login attempts, and the account will lock for 30 minutes. I don't like that one. So we're going to change it from 30 minutes to 5 minutes for this lab. And then it will automatically do the other one. Yes. So password policies are very, very, very essential. That's why we're doing this first. It's one of the first things. I don't know why I went with desktop shortcuts. I should have jumped right into security for our user accounts. So what this is going to do is give us event logs and tell us if somebody's logging in, how many times they log in. This is for going back and reviewing in the event something happens. So it's good to have this. You want to store these log files in a, log files accumulate, and and you can't just go in and delete them, obviously, but it's good to have that. All right, so I think we're done with with that portion of it. Let's look at the options in the actual user configuration. Security settings, public key policies. All right, so this is only for certificates. which we're going to be doing. Yes, we are. And software. Okay, so security is done for now. Okay. So let's test it and see if it actually works. Let's find someone. Oops. Trying to find a simple username and password to type in. PRBL. Very cool. So let's reset. Alright, and now we're going to log in with someone else. So it's going to be PRBL. I'm going to try to log in with temporary password. It should ask me to change upon login. Or not. Beat to it too quickly. Bummer. Oh, why did I not ask for that? So I didn't set it requesting change upon login, and I'm also going to get rid of password never expires. The GPO will be recreated should set that automatically. So I'm going to reset this machine, reboot it, and then I should be able to log in and be asked to change the password. And I want to actually lock this user account, this to demonstrate this in action. Okay, so I want to show you what security filtering does. So I want to apply this control panel GPO to only certain users. All right, so let's remove authenticated users first, and then we're going to add domain computers, and I'm going to add a security group. Let's say contracts. All right. So the contracts group. There it is. So now that group will only be applied to members of that group. So we're going to link it. Okay, so as you can see, the system's rebooting, so it's going to take a while before that works. Alrighty, so that's it for now.